Today on CG Off-Road, we're going to make our F-150 a little more convenient and give it a nice touch under the hood with some help from B&M. For some reason, the F-150 doesn't come with a traditional style dipstick in the engine compartment, so today we're going to make our life a little bit easier with this F-150 by installing this B&M transmission dipstick. This dipstick is designed to easily replace the tiny dipstick found in the automatic transmissions in your 2010-18 F-150 and Raptor. It features a nice stainless steel braided tube with high quality fittings as well as a dipstick so you can easily check your level. It's going to mount in the engine compartment to make life a little easier, so let's get to the installation. Tools you'll need for this installation: 1/4-inch ratchet, 8mm socket, 19mm wrench, 22mm wrench, a Phillips screwdriver, and a saw blade. Okay, the first thing we're going to do to install this dipstick is drop this skid plate right here, and then we're going to get the truck up to operating temperature. There's 4 8mm bolts that hold this plate on. Okay, we got our skid plate off. Now we're going to get the truck up to operating temperature. We're going to turn it on, run it through the gears a little bit, get it up to temperature, and then we're going to check the fluid level on the factory dipstick to make sure our level is perfect. Now with the truck still running in park, grab a 19mm wrench and remove the original dipstick. Be very careful not to bring yourself on the exhaust. The exhaust is right there. Wipe off all the fluid from the dipstick, reinsert it. Now we have an accurate reading of our level, which is right there. Our level seems to be perfect. Remove the O-ring from the original plug and transfer the O-ring to your B&M adapter. Try not to roll the O-ring. Get it on so it can seat in the groove. Just like that. Install it into the transmission. And it's a good thing to note we're doing this with the truck running, because if you turn the truck off, fluid will overflow out of the transmission. So we're just doing this to make it less of a mess. Use a 22mm wrench to tighten it up. You don't need to make it too tight, just get it snug. Then take your B&M transmission dipstick tube and feed it up behind the engine and between the firewall. Then thread it on to the adapter. Now to tighten this up, get it hand tight and then just do a 1/4 of a turn with a wrench. To get it snug, you do not need to over tighten these AN fittings. Okay, we have the dipstick tube ran up here right on the back side of the engine. This looks like a good location to mount it, right here on the firewall. We're going to thread our adapter fitting into the tube and then tighten it with a 22mm wrench. Now we're thinking we're going to put it right here with the self-tapping screws. Now before we install it here, we're going to make sure the dipstick can go in all the way into the transmission without binding up. So we're going to attempt to do a test run here. Make sure the dipstick can go all the way in without any issues. And it can. Make sure it can thread in. And this location is looking pretty promising. We're going to leave the dipstick in there just so no debris gets into the tube and into the transmission. To make it easier to install this, we're going to cut away some of the insulating material. Now install the fitting with the 2 provided self-tapping screws. Now that we have the dipstick secure, we're going to get the truck back up to operating temperature and recheck our level. Since we know our fluid level is okay with the factory dipstick, now we're going to mark on the B&M stick the proper fluid level. Okay, so we made a mark on our B&M dipstick with a Sawzall blade. This tells us our level is good since we know it was good before. And now we can reinstall it, and this will make filling up your transmission in the future a lot easier. Reinstall your skid plate. And your installation's finished. Okay, we got our B&M transmission dipstick installed. It's definitely going to make checking the fluid in this truck a whole lot easier, and it's going to make it easier to add fluid as well. It goes great with the B&M transmission pan that we already had, and installs, you know, it's really not that bad. It should probably only take you about 30 minutes, and before you know it, you'll be heading off-road.